What is up, ladies and gentlemen of the internet? My name's Scyushi, and today I'm going to be having a more objective opinion about the game Cube World that I've been running on the channel for a couple days now. You'll see me continuously playing this game in the weeks to come with my Let's Play series, where I'm going to end up exploring all the different biomes and stuff like that. Consider this just a video on the side for those of you that are unsure about whether you want to actually purchase this game. Because as of right now, the game is accessible for people like myself that bought this 6 years ago with the alpha version of the game. And now there is a beta that is going to be coming out to public access for Steam tomorrow or maybe later tonight, depending on when he ends up releasing it. And this video is for those of you that are unsure about whether you want to get the game, or sitting there thinking this game looks awesome but don't fully grasp how the game actually works. Because in all honesty, there is a lot of criticism about this game, even from the people that were blatantly biased towards Cube World and, oh, it's awesome, the dev can do no wrong. Even these people are slowly starting to wane over and realize that there's not really much of a progression system in this version of the game, which is unfortunate. Now, that said, my own personal opinions towards this game is that it's not great, it's not bad though, and it's just kind of okay down the middle. I'm still genuinely enjoying myself with this game. But I approach games differently than most people because I play video games for a living. I'm grinding this. I'm making content for you guys. I'm trying to keep it exciting and trying to keep exploring more content. And having a game that is basically infinite, I mean, that's great, because then it means that I can just keep on grinding it and keep on making videos for you guys. And I love that part of my job. It's most games that are single player where I have a good time with those as well, because I know that they're going to end. But with a game like this, the way that it drags out infinite content is objectively not that good, you know? It depends on your own way of looking at things. Are you the type of person that plays Skyrim, completes a couple quests, and then just ends up starting a new character over and over again? Or do you complete a guild or something and then start a new character to start in another guild or start another class or whatever? If you like repeating yourself and starting new files over and over again, then I can say it's a no-brainer that you're going to end up enjoying Cube World. But if you're somebody like me that enjoys actually progressing in a game and getting to a point where, you know, like you're leveling up, you're getting stronger, you're getting more efficient at doing dungeons and stuff like that, then maybe this game is not for you. Maybe there's some fine line in there. Like, I've definitely found the fine line of what I enjoy with this game, but I'm going to be using mods, which we'll talk about that in a bit. Basically, how this game works, for those of you that don't know, is all of your gear and all the special items that you find, like let's say you get a hang glider, right? And then you end up grinding all these dungeons all the way up to legendary gear, 5-star gear. Your ultimate goal of the game is to end up grinding up to legendary 5-star gear in one biome so that you can end up completing the relic dungeon. So this is where you're going to end up getting an artifact that will end up giving you, this as an example, a permanent increase to your swimming speed, right? So the thing is, as soon as you go to the next biome, everything except for that swimming speed and your gold gets reset. So you still will have your armor equipped. You can see in this biome I'm rocking legendary gear. But if I go one biome over, I'll still have this gear equipped to my character, but instead of 5-star, it's going to reset to 0-star and become absolutely useless. You can see right here, this biome that I'm in is the Sano Wetlands. So I have an inventory for the Sano Wetlands, but if I click this arrow, this is Thurrock Ocean. So this is a completely different biomes set of drops and sets of gear, which is going to show a 1-star right here, or 0-star I should say, because it's useless in this swampland. But if I went to the ocean, this gear would end up being really powerful. That's how this game works. That's how Cube World works. It just resets your progress over and over and over again. And it's not like you're carrying all of your grassland biome gear into the next grassland biome. This section right here, this is considered a region, and all of the gear in this region is region locked. That's what players are calling it. So nothing is going to carry over into this biome except your gold, which you can use to buy gear at the shops again. But gear in the shops is going to end up being locked to completing certain quests. So as you end up completing certain quests, the gear in the shops will end up increasing in power. So you kind of have to go out and explore from square one every single time you go into a new biome. And this form of progression doesn't change over any biome in the game. They're all going to play out the exact same. Now, arguably, you can end up getting gear that has a plus by it. This is plus gear. And what that's going to do is, say I got plus gear in this Amber Plains, right? Any biome that's touching the Amber Plains on the map, that plus gear will carry over to and end up working in. All right? That is called the Kingdom. But then, as soon as we go one more biome over, the plus gear from Amber Plains isn't going to work anymore. So it works one biome connected, but not two biomes connected, nothing further. If I wanted to end up having gear carry over to the Nanmer Wetlands, I would then have to get plus gear all over again in the Desmer Plains instead, thus increasing the radius that I would end up being able to use the gear. But if I went back over in this direction, I'd have to swap back over to the Amber Plains gear in order to have it carry over to here. And in all honesty, that plus gear is so difficult to get. It's so rare to find in shops, rare to find as drops, even rarer to find as a crafting recipe, because your crafting items are going to reset per biome as well. That's another thing, the same as the shop, that you're going to end up working towards through completing quests in each of the specific biomes. So your crafting gear is always going to change. Sometimes you'll be able to craft plus gear. But here's the thing, is again, that's going to be related to that one specific biome. And as you can see right here, crafting gear is extremely expensive to craft your own gear. So in all honesty, it's faster to just start from scratch in a new biome and grind all the way up to legendary than it is to find plus gear. Like, you'll just casually find plus gear while you're exploring, but trying to farm for it specifically is ridiculous. Like, it takes way too long. So anyways, with that all out of the way, I'm just going to let you guys know that I thoroughly enjoyed playing through my first biome. I think that it's a blast, and if this game was 10 to 15 bucks, I could recommend it on that. The game's probably going to be 20 bucks like it was 6 years ago, in which case it's, you know, it's still worth it, you know, 20 bucks for 5 to 6 hours of play, let alone if you have your friends, maybe you'll play a little bit longer into some of the other biomes before you end up getting bored of it. But that whole region lock thing and the gear resetting most of all, and further than that, the relics being so underwhelming, and that's the entire progression system right here, that is going to end up keeping a lot of people from being interested in this game. Because the biggest thing too is the relics themselves, it's not that bad. Like, it's not that I find the gear resetting to necessarily be a problem. It's just that the gear resetting and the only thing carrying over being movement speed stats, that's where it already becomes a little bit of a problem, because, you know, you're not really necessarily progressing through the next biome faster, you're just moving through the biome faster. But here's the thing, is you're not even doing that very well. Because let's say I end up finding the boat in this biome, and I end up having a whole bunch of relics that give me like tons and tons of boat movement speed. I can't carry my boat over into this ocean biome and just start darting through all of the islands and stuff, because my boat is only going to work in this biome. So I would have to go all the way over to here and find manually myself on one of these islands the boat all over again, and then I would be able to progress through this biome faster. But I might get unlucky. I might only find the biome or only find the island that generated with the boat after a couple hours of trudging and swimming through it with stupidly slow swim speed. And that's boring. That's not gameplay, you know? If you're playing it with your friends, obviously you can divide and conquer, and you can end up at any point, like let's say I go over here, I don't find anything, and my friend goes over here and he ends up finding the boat. You can end up going to the town, and you can end up flying for free to your friends only, so that you can end up just basically fast traveling to them. You can end up paying this merchant to travel to other biomes, so maybe you want to just skip over to another area like way over here. You can very well do that by going to a town and hiring a griffin, right? But the thing is, that's going to end up being more and more expensive the further you end up going. So unless you're kind of, you know, frog hopping over with your friends, you know, that's the only way that you're going to be able to do that efficiently. Now, all of that said, last but not least, I just want to let you guys know that those of you that think that the game sounds interesting but you don't like the region lock, don't worry. Modders are slowly fixing it. There's actually a mod out already right now that I've been using. I didn't use it through my first biome, but I will be using it in all the other biomes, possibly not using it whenever I end up getting to a new biome for the Let's Play series, but you know, I'll see what feedback, whatever. That my Let's Play series is something different. But with that mod, all of your gear, like your hang glider, your climbing gloves and stuff like that, you can tell it to carry all of that over into the next biome. So already with that, relics become more useful. But then on top of that, you can also carry your gear over if you want as well. So what that would basically turn the game into is you just rushing for the relics. So you'd go from one relic, go back to a town, fast travel to another relic, and go through the dungeons that way. And if that's something that you find fun, then great, because that's what I find fun, so there you go. That's why I enjoy this game. But that said, I would say that by using that mod, you instantly realize just how shallow the form of progression is in this game. Because what are you actually working towards? You're working towards moving faster in each of these biomes. So all you're really doing at that point is rushing for a relic so that you can get even more movement speed, and then you fast travel back to a town, carry yourself over to the next relic, or in this biome's case, the relic actually hasn't shown itself on the map because I haven't collected enough lore or talked to an NPC that randomly shows it to me or anything like that, right? So that would mean that the movement speed becomes that much more valuable because I can just kind of go through this biome left and right over and over again until I end up finding the relic dungeon. But then Cube World unfortunately becomes a walking simulator. And that was one of the biggest problems with the alpha version of the game as well. But at least in that version, fighting enemies had a purpose because you actually had levels. In this version, there is no leveling. The levels that you end up getting, you can see I'm level 8. That's just because I've gotten a bunch of relics. For every relic you get, it increases your level, but only ends up increasing your movement speed or your lantern radius and stuff like that. Anyways, in closing, again, I think that this game's okay. I'm enjoying my time with it, but I'm a bit weird when I play video games just because I'm doing videos on them. And I can kind of interact with you guys and just have fun with it and stuff like that. And I'm just playing video games. What am I complaining about? I think that there's a little too many people that are either 100% negative on this game or 100% positive on it. It's just kind of in the middle, and unfortunately, the alpha version of this game, because it has infinite leveling, I would argue did last a lot longer for me. Like, the excitement was not as high as this version of the game, but this version of the game, it's like all the chips are just in the beginning, and then you're dead. Then there's no more chips for the rest of the game. Whereas with the alpha version, the chips were a lot lower, but ended up lasting consistently all the way through, instead of this one where you just kind of have a big high at the beginning when you're completing your first biome, and then that's it. Now, that said, if you're really struggling for something that you want to find fun in this game, I'd recommend that you either can play all of the different classes, one biome each, or you can end up tackling each of the different biome types once and then maybe move on. You know, there's ways that I'm going to end up finding this, making this game interesting for myself, so you guys can very well do that as well. But in all honesty, I'd say that for the average gamer, just move on. There's other things, and it's honestly going to take this guy way too long to end up fixing these problems. And in a lot of ways, he's not going to fix them because he doesn't view them as problems. There's been an overwhelming amount of criticism about how he's actually approached this game's progression system, and unfortunately, we haven't heard any response back. He's kind of ignoring it all. I can understand if he's trying to ignore all the negativity and stuff like that, but I mean, if he didn't want to end up being in the limelight, he shouldn't be developing a video game and letting everybody play it, you know what I mean? Let alone he shouldn't be charging money for it. Like, everyone acts like this guy's a saint just because he's, like, developing this one game all by himself. And it's like, Stardew Valley was developed by one person in 1 year, not 6 years before it released publicly. And that game's phenomenal and continues giving absurd amounts of content. Minecraft is the closest that I would say that Cube World is in the experience of game development, where this guy ended up with a fantastic, engine, a fantastic base game, but he didn't end up capitalizing on that properly. He didn't hire a team so that we can have multiple people putting their own take towards the game, where Minecraft ended up, you know, exploding, and then eventually the main developer ended up selling it off to Microsoft for like $1 billion, but we've still seen that game develop. Cube World is still just being developed by one guy who, in a lot of ways, gives off the impression that he's just really, really stubborn or just doesn't really care. I don't think that that's true. I've seen that on the forums and stuff like that. I think that this guy, the developer of this game, is probably socially awkward. And in that regard, he doesn't know how to deal with the criticisms and stuff like that. But that's where I think he should still end up hiring a team and following his passion of actually becoming a game developer. And, you know, it would lighten the load for him a little bit so that he can look at his project a little bit more objectively if he had other people helping him and working on it, especially with this game releasing to the public. And I'm sure he's gonna end up making a lot of money off of it, just because there's gonna be lots of people that might not even watch this video that are just like, hey, that looks cool, and they'll check it out, or they've heard about Cube World a long time ago and be like, oh, hey, this game finally released, I'm gonna get it, and find out that it's completely different from the alpha version of the game. Anyways, thanks for watching. Smash like, sub for more. I'm still gonna continue Cube World on the channel. Sign on. Stay epic, everybody.